In the quiet, rain-soaked town of Forks, Washington, the mist clings to ancient trees and cobblestone streets like faded memories. Here, the boundaries between ordinary life and the uncanny blur effortlessly, setting the stage for a tale that entwines mystery with destiny. As I recount the unfolding events, every shadow and glimmer of light speaks of secrets waiting to be revealed. The narrative unfolds around a seemingly simple but fateful gift, a silver chalice etched with intricate designs that sparkle in the pale light. This object, imbued with forbidden symbolism, heralds a chain of events designed to shatter the calm that has long graced the lives of Bella Swan and her eternal companions among the Cullen family. In this realm where vampires coexist with hints of humanity, every gesture carries the potential for both tenderness and treachery. I guide the audience through this labyrinth of loyalties and deceit, where even the most innocuous act may conceal a calculated move from a hidden adversary. The familiar faces of Edward, Carlisle, and the rest are cast in new light as alliances are questioned, and old bonds are tested under the weight of betrayal. Not far off, an insidious plan unfurls, a plan where the glaze of peace is thin and danger seeps through the cracks. Every carefully chosen detail in the surroundings mirrors the internal battles waged within hearts that have known both love and loss. With every step taken in this quiet, eerie town, an unspoken promise lingers in the air. The truth, no matter how painful, will rise from the shadows to reclaim its dominance. In the silence of the fog, the flicker of hope and the chill of impending doom dance, a delicate ballet, inviting the observer into a world where nothing is as it seems and every moment counts. On a warm yet deceptively serene evening, the Cullen living room becomes the stage for a moment that appears both benign and portentous. Bella Swan, engrossed in her solitude, sits in a comfortable armchair with a book resting idly on her lap. Her mind wanders through memories of intimate moments shared with Edward and the fragile peace that has followed the turbulent events of New Moon. At that quiet hour, the subtle knock at the door interrupts her reverie, summoning the enigmatic presence of Alice, whose golden eyes seem to twinkle knowingly as she enters with a small, unadorned package. In a moment that feels heavy with unspoken meaning, Bella accepts the plain brown box without suspicion, her fingers slipping over the embossed label that bears only her name. With deliberate care, she unveils the velvet case hidden within, discovering a silver chalice whose surface is etched with intricate designs that shimmer as if holding a secret of their own. The chalice, both elegant and eerie, casts a mysterious allure that tugs at Bella's curiosity, while sending a ripple of unease through her heart. Near this curious artifact lies a handwritten note bearing the cryptic message, "For your future. May it be long and prosperous." The simplicity of the words belies an undercurrent of warning, a hidden snare meant to entangle fate. Later that evening, during a familial dinner marked by silent rituals and strong bonds, Bella's eyes drift repeatedly to the gleaming chalice resting atop the mantel. In a spontaneous moment of daring, she fills the ornate cup with wine and raises it in a toast to the promise of peace. Yet, as the wine brushes her lips, a subtle but unmistakable shift occurs, an imperceptible chill and the whisper of something amiss, as if the chalice itself holds a malevolent spark amidst its beauty. The brief moment of joy is disrupted by a creeping sensation of dread, heralding the onset of an insidious affliction that will soon alter the lives of everyone present. With this act of innocent curiosity comes the echo of consequences that could ultimately unravel the delicate fabric of trust and love that has sustained them all. At the break of dawn, the fragile calm of the Cullen household is shattered by the aftermath of the mysterious poisoning. In the dim light of early morning, Bella Swan is found lying in her bed, her once vigorous presence reduced to a pallid, trembling figure. The burning sensation that began in her throat now radiates throughout her body, accompanied by a series of haunting visions that blur the border between reality and nightmare. Each shallow breath and every fleeting moment of clarity only deepens the unsettling aura that has now enveloped her. Carlisle, rendered unusually somber by the situation, hovers with a measured urgency over his troubled charge. His calm analysis reveals that the poison is not of any typical human concoction, but is instead a supernatural venom designed with a specific, malignant intent. The invisible threads of connection that bind Bella to Edward and the intricate web of alliances within their world have now become the very vulnerability upon which this sinister attack hinges. In the charged air of uncertainty, Edward's countenance hardens, his steadfast loyalty warbled with seething anger and aching concern. The investigation begins almost immediately as family members and allies start piecing together the fragments of evidence. With every observation and note of Bella's deteriorating condition, the possibility that the culprit might be someone known to them becomes ever more haunting. The landscape of suspicion stretches wide. The acrimonious vendetta that Victoria harbors, the clandestine manipulations of the Volturi, and even murmurs about the werewolf pack harboring unspoken resentments. Yet, within the sterile clinical setting of Carlyle's care, the true nature of the threat remains an enigma, a carefully orchestrated riddle designed to exploit every weakness. The atmosphere is fraught with anxiety as each passing minute intensifies the urgency to uncover the mastermind behind this deliberate assault, leaving the Cullen family and their allies teetering on the precipice between relentless fear and the desperate hope for answers. In the wake of Bella's mysterious affliction, the Cullen coven and their close allies transform into a finely tuned investigative force, determined to trace the shadows back to their source. The narrative widens as the dynamic ensemble begins their meticulous search for clues among the familiar yet treacherous grounds of Forks. Edward, his gaze sharp and vigilant, remains constantly by Bella's side, a guardian against both the physical and emotional turmoil, threatening to engulf her. Meanwhile, Alice and Jasper, driven by visions and insights granted to them by the unfathomable forces surrounding their kind, embark on a probing quest through the shadowy hollows and murky depths of the local woods, tracing remnants of scents and subtle signs that hint at a lingering malice. Emmett and Rosalie, with their innate blend of strength and sensitivity, take to canvassing the town itself, speaking silently to the whispers of Forks and sifting through the murmurs of wary locals, each piece of information adding another brushstroke to an incomplete portrait of culpability. As the investigation branches out, Bella's thoughts become pervaded by a maelstrom of uncertainty. Each fleeting suspicion, mingled with memories of past betrayals, casts doubt on even the most trusted faces. The arrival of a mysterious new presence, a vampire known only as Marcus, adds a fresh layer of complexity to the emerging puzzle. His watchful eyes and an ambiguous allegiance present a challenge, a red herring amid an already tangled web of possible culprits. With each passing moment, the investigation reveals that the poisoning was not the work of a single vengeful heart, but the result of a confluence of long-held grudges and secretive machinations. The suspicion that someone from within their own ranks might have harbored sinister intentions gnaws at Bella's already fragile faith in the bonds that unite them. In the undercurrent of every action and every seemingly fortuitous meeting, the ominous possibility lingers. Someone in the shadows watches with eyes both hungry and calculating, waiting to strike again. As the investigation deepens, the focus shifts to the chalice, a seemingly innocuous artifact that now serves as the linchpin of a far bigger mystery. Under soft light, Bella resorts to a careful and deliberate examination of the silver cup, her fingers delicately tracing the ornate inscriptions that subtly vibrate with a hidden energy. The symbols, as ancient as they are perplexing, whisper a foreboding warning, a message that straddles the realms of both salvation and damnation. It reads as though forged in forgotten tongues and carries the dual promise of both life and death. Meanwhile, Carlyle pores over obscure texts and fragments of lore in a desperate attempt to decipher the chalice's true origins, unearthing references that speak of a legacy interwoven with cryptic rituals and clandestine pacts. The palpable tension mounts as the Cullens deliberate over the myriad implications of this relic. Every theory is weighed carefully against the gravity of Bella's deteriorating condition. Amidst the swirl of speculation, an unexpected figure emerges in the narrative, Marcus, whose mysterious entry into their midst provides a tenuous lifeline in the form of an antidote. Yet caution shadows his every gesture, and his offer comes bundled with a steep demand for refuge, a plea that raises more questions than it answers. The essence of trust teeters precariously in this interplay of ancient lore and modern menace. As the narrative unfolds, the chalice transforms from a symbol of potential healing into a bearer of riddles and double meanings. Each new clue draws the investigators further into a labyrinth of red herrings and misdirected trails, highlighting the daunting challenge of sifting truth from the carefully orchestrated illusions cast by the unseen hand of the true perpetrator. In the maze of suspicions, the trail of evidence appears to spiral into deceptive cul-de-sacs as false leads begin to emerge. The investigation, once firmly focused on an imposing voice of retribution such as Victoria, now stumbles through shadows devoid of traces, scents that vanish into the night, and fleeting glimpses that dissolve like morning dew. Edward's determined search for any link to her yields nothing but a perplexing void of proof. In this disorienting moment, the realization dawns that not every path winds toward the obvious enemy. The narrative turns introspective as Bella, caught between trust and the burden of betrayal, starts questioning the loyalty of those who have long been her refuge. A delicate confrontation in the serene Twilight garden follows, a moment marked by slowly emerging truths and unspoken regrets between Bella and Rosalie. In the cool air, the subtext of their shared histories weaves a tapestry of doubts and half-truths. Rosalie's demeanor, shadowed by both compassion and conflict, hints at secret knowledge that remains locked beneath layers of personal anguish. As the investigation stalls, the haunting possibility that the betrayal might have originated from within the sanctum becomes more pronounced. The clues, once clear in their direction, now become subdued fragments that serve as whispers of a deeper deception at work. Despite the stagnation of one investigative track, the relentless pursuit of truth continues, driven by the mutual desire to protect Bella and uphold the fragile unity of their collective world. A sudden shift in the narrative clears the fog of uncertainty as a long-kept secret steps into the light, transforming suspicion into a painful revelation. In a moment both stark and surreal, Bella experiences a recollection, a blurred memory that hints at a connection between the chalice and Rosalie's furtive glances. The recollection is heavy with regret as the narrator unveils that Rosalie had once recognized the ancient symbols adorning the chalice from forbidden vampire lore. This secret, advisedly kept in the depths of her heart out of fear and guilt, now unfurls to expose an unexpected layer of complexity in the familial bonds. The atmosphere thickens with both sorrow and understanding when it becomes evident that her actions, initially born out of a misguided attempt to protect through distance, have now contributed to Bella's suffering. The turning point arrives as hints from Alice's prophetic visions coalesce with forgotten fragments of history, ultimately revealing that Laurent, the shadow of a bitter past thought to be vanquished, lurks in the background, orchestrating this relentless scheme. The narrative weaves together the threads of betrayal and unintended consequences, providing clarity on how Laurent has manipulated circumstances to test Edward's spirit and undermine the sanctity of Bella's human vulnerability. In the stark light of truth, the assembled evidence points unequivocally toward Laurent as the architect of this intricate plot, his motives a blend of vengeance, malice, and a desperate need to reclaim a long-lost power. As the layers of deception fall away, the once fragmented narrative assumes a chilling coherence, a coherence that binds every character's fate in a tapestry of shared despair and reluctant accountability. The narrative surges toward a climactic crescendo as the investigation finds its final confrontation looming on the horizon. In a secluded cabin shrouded by the encroaching darkness, the Cullens, alongside their steadfast allies from the wolf pack, encircle the figure of Laurent. The atmosphere teems with a charged mixture of righteous anger and sorrow, as the accumulated weight of betrayal meets the brutal necessity of retribution. In this decisive moment, the air vibrates with an intensity that renders every heartbeat a staccato reminder of the stakes. As Laurent emerges with a sneering disdain, his presence exuding a cold, bitter malice, Edward's resolve crystallizes into swift, unyielding action. The battle unfolds as a silent yet violent exchange where every motion speaks of a deep-seated determination to protect the fragile light that Bella represents. In this final act, the confrontation is not merely physical but a symbolic reckoning with the dark forces that conspired behind the Poisoned Chalice, sealing Laurent's fate beneath the unrelenting gaze of justice. After the tumultuous confrontation, the soothing cadence of dawn gradually restores balance to the once fractured household. The familiar surroundings of home become a sanctuary of healing, where the echoes of conflict give way to quiet moments of reflection and restoration. In the aftermath of the fierce upheaval, Bella begins her slow journey back to vitality, each passing moment marked by subtle signs of recovery, a gentle warmth returning to her expression and a renewed spark in her eyes. The narrative captures the poignant scene of reconciliation, particularly as Rosalie, with eyes brimming with remorse and humility, steps forward to lay bare the burden of her concealed truths. The chalice, no longer merely a vessel of danger, stands as a solemn testament to the trials endured and the strength that emerged from the dark crucible of betrayal. Amid these deeply personal moments of forgiveness and understanding, the remnants of old wounds begin to fade, replaced by a shared commitment to protect the bonds of love and trust that define their world. In the reflective silence of the final moments, the journey from the enigmatic gift to the shattering confrontation is encapsulated with a sense of hard-won clarity. The narrative leaves behind echoes of pain, lessons etched deeply in every scar, and the steadfast bonds of loyalty that have been tested and ultimately reaffirmed. Although the chalice now rests quietly as a relic of past dangers, its memory inspires a renewed vigilance.